All right. Well, I still don't have any fancy openings. I don't really plan to. So, welcome to the cold opening of the next episode review of Stranger Things Season 3 with me and Ian, the Mega Geek.
Hello.
Hey,
hello. So we should start, right? I guess.
yes, we've got a lot of episodes and we're going to do them all. So,
Yeah.
we start with Chapter 5. It's called The Flayed.
Mm.
And I kind of wrote up a little shortened synopsis of each one so that we can do it before we talk about the details, basically.
Sure.
So in this episode, pretty much we got Nancy and Jonathan going up against the goo monster at the hospital, and they realize no one's been paying attention to the kids. They're the only ones.
Yeah.
They unite with Mike, Elle, Max, and Lucas at the house, and Hopper and Joyce get to run around away from the Russian Terminator. They steal Alexei, a scientist.
Yeah.
And Steve, Robin, Dustin, and Erica finally get into they got into the Russian facility at the end of the last episode and realized they were in an elevator. And so they pretty much get into the Russian place, and then Elle's nose bled a lot, and Mike was overprotective.
Yeah, that's the long and short of it, I guess. But what was I going to say? That they were stuck in the lift, weren't they? The lift went down fast in the last episode, and that's how it ended? Was it ended in that cliffhanger? I can't remember.
Yeah, it pretty much starts going down, and then it starts up in this episode with them stopping.
And they decide to climb out because there's nowhere to go. And Hopper and Joyce, I can't remember. They went to this place and then they picked up the bed, and there was these stairs leading down to the bed, right?
Yeah, so they checked a bunch of houses and they didn't find anything, but this one they noticed that someone was staying there, and they tracked it down to like a underground bunker kind of thing.
And that's where they met Smirnoff, as Hopper calls him.
I don't think that's his last name, but I love that he calls him Smirnoff.
But he has a fight with the T2 guy, and the T2 guy shoots at them, and they get in the car and they drive away before the T2 guy could make mincemeat out of them. You know what, right? In real life, if you shot at a car door is not going to stop bullets. It'll just cut through it like butter. So all those films when you see people people are firing guns at them and they hide behind the car. If you hide behind the engine, yes, it's going to protect you. But if you just hide behind the door or the bulk of the car, you're going to get killed because those bullets are going to cut through the car and you're going to die. So if you're ever in a situation like that, don't hide behind the car unless it's near the engine.
Yeah,
right?
definitely do
that. Yeah, definitely.
But especially not in. It just doesn't.
Yeah. In movies, it seems like the thing to do. Right?
Yeah, they miraculously did not get shot. So
yeah, they didn't. Jonathan wakes up because Nancy's calling him, right? At 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, some nonsense like that. He's pissed. And she's at the hospital. Yeah, sorry. I'm looking at my notes here.
Oh no! So she's at the hospital, and she starts worrying about Will. So she asks Jonathan where Will is, and so it kind of jumps from there back to Joyce and them.
Him talking to the Russian guy.
I love this scene. She's just so ridiculously hardcore in whatever she tries to do, and she's like trying to talk to Alexei with rocks and talk about magnets.
Yeah. But he tried to warn him about the car, and the car explodes. So he just got to show he's a nice guy, so he didn't want him to die, basically.
Yeah, it's really...
That was a good scene. Yeah. So Mike 11 and the boys are talking about stuff in whose place were they at? Were they at
They were
Mike's
at
place?
Mike's house.
Mike's
They
house.
bounce around these episodes, but yeah, they're at Mike's.
And then 11 and Max go in the bathroom, and I can't remember why they did, but the guys are talking and they can hear them from the bathroom.
Yeah.
Apparently.
You know, right?
Yeah, those dumb boys. Those dumb boys. Anyway, and then we have Dustin and the gang trying to find a way out. And doesn't what's his name pee in the top?
Oh,
He wants
God,
to go
yeah.
in.
He just runs right down the wall, and it's like, oh, come on, dude.
Yeah, and then by magic or whatever, the door of the lift opens and these people start unloading, don't they?
Mm-hmm.
They start unloading the stuff, whatever it is. And
Oh,
when
right, the green goo stuff.
yeah, and when they're gone, they decide to run, but the door is closed, and so they get a jar of the green goo stuff, and it stops the door from going down. And they do Indiana Jones and slip through it before it destroys the green goo, which is a bit like Alien because it kind of like it's acid. It kind of goes through the floor, doesn't it?
You're right. That's a good connection there. I wasn't even thinking Alien. I was just like, wow, that's a lot of acid.
Yeah, and it's green too. So there you go.
Well, you know, it's got to be classic sci-fi here.
So yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, go for it.
No, just looking at my notes. Nancy and the gang make the connection with Mrs. Driscoll and Billy, because they were saying what time did Mrs. Driscoll go crazy and what time did Billy go crazy, and they kind of figure out that they're both obviously linked somehow.
Yes. And they find out that Heather's obviously connected to Nancy's boss, so Nancy and Jonathan head over to their place.
Yeah, of course. That's the boss's place. Bill, is it? No, I can't remember the name. What's the boss's name? Tom. That's it. They head towards Tom's place, don't they? Hold on. So they get in the car and they drive there. Meanwhile, we're at the petrol station, and Hopper. They go next. They're so thirsty, they start drinking Coke. I don't know if that was advertisement for Coke, but because they had 3 cans, didn't they? They didn't drink anything else from that fridge. They just drank Coke, didn't they?
That's true. The American way, right?
Yeah, have you not noticed that? So basically, Hopper pulls out the Coke and he starts drinking from it, and so does Joyce, and so does the Russian guy. He starts drinking it. I mean, as I said, there's loads of drinks in the fridge, but they just pull out Coke. So there you go. So they all drink it, and he pays for the stuff, and then he sees this guy outside. He pretends that he's FBI or something like that, saying Smirnoff is a dangerous Russian.
He killed a lot of people.
yeah. And then they drive off with this guy's car, and the guy was not happy about it. So that's what happens in that scene. Where am I?
Yeah. They cut back to
Nancy and the gang in it.
Yes.
In the house, and Nancy works out what actually happened. That Tom got hit by the bottle, and he got dragged into the room. My God, she'll put Columbo to shame. This one, won't it? Yeah, and yeah, I'm noticing a pattern here that the boys are really dumb, and the girls are really clever. Dear. But yeah, so she works out what's happened. What's this one here? Steve and the gang are walking. Steve and Robin and the little irritating girl, is it Erica? Mm-hmm. Which, if you took her out of the equation, would have made no difference whatsoever, because she didn't do anything. I didn't even know why she's there. Maybe it was to tick a box or something, because she's a small little black kid. Yeah, who knows?
Yeah, I think they're building her up for the next season, to be honest. But
no, but see, this is the problem I've got, Finn, is that if you're going to build someone up, make sure they're there for a reason.
Yeah,
She's not. There's no, if you took her out of the equation, it wouldn't made no difference to the script. Same thing with Robin. If you took Robin out of the equation, it would have made no difference to the script. You could have gave all the smarts to Steve, and it would work just as much. See, this is the problem I've got with this season. That there's too many people, too many, and you just get I just get the strange feeling that they're trying to tick boxes for some reason. But then again, it is 2020. But then again, this wasn't made in 2020. This was made in 2018, was it?
That's a good question. I think so. I think that's when they did that because I think it came out around then. Who knows?
But even if that wasn't in play, Erica and Robin, there's no reason for them at all.
Yeah, they really were poorly written characters. They were very. I mean, because there's some characters where they do stand a chance. If you think about it, Jonathan really was not useful at all this season either.
No, he wasn't.
He literally followed Nancy around the entire time.
Yeah.
Because they just didn't have anything to do with him. They had introduced him. He was there for the previous seasons, and now they were like, "What do we do with these characters?" You know.
Well, the thing is, Jonathan could have been more useful if the writers would allow him to be useful.
Yes.
But again, there's this. Can you not see a pattern emerging here? There's this pattern that I really don't like. That all the boys are stupid or don't have the smarts, or act on anger or frustration, and the girls act with logic, which, as I said, I don't know whether that was deliberate or not. And some of the girls, as I've just mentioned, is added to this story for no reason. You could have taken them out of the plot and it would have made no difference to the story whatsoever. But then again, let's move on because I've already said this last week. So yeah.
Let's see. So we got them wandering around, and then that's like, and so Nancy and Jonathan decide to go back to the hospital to let Driscoll leave so they can track her back to the source of the gooiness.
The horrible gooey. And meanwhile, T2 has turned up at the petrol station and has a go at the guy serving, which I thought was quite funny. But he really does sound like Arnie, doesn't he, in this one, don't you think?
Yes. Well, I think they're totally playing off the fact that he's kind of like a foreigner anyway, so like he would speak like that, but at the same time, the way he's dressed and he moves, and yeah, he's totally doing Terminator.
Yeah, he definitely is. So look, this is where I got a bit puzzled here. Joyce and Hopper, they go to the Russian guy, right? With the beard. No, he's not Russian. He can speak Russian.
Murray.
Murray. How does Hopper know Murray?
Murray popped up in the last season. He helped get the government shut down, the institute. So that's how Hopper knows him, because of the.
But wasn't that through Nancy and Jonathan?
Originally, but I think the government building closing down entirely eventually got to Hopper, probably. I'm just assuming, but no, I don't think they actually had a conversation together.
But did they meet though? I can't remember whether they met. And how does he know where he lives?
Yeah, right. That's also a good question. I'd like to think that there's an answer. But I think it's definitely a hole.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Maybe I missed something in the last season. Maybe Hopper did meet him. I mean, they can't have made that big mistake. Surely they can't have. They're not that stupid writers. They're not stupid as writers. They're good writers. So maybe we've missed something. They probably have met before, but for life of me, I can't remember when they met. So, but so they go in there, and Hopper's as usual want to beat people up for an answer, and Joyce. Has a go at Murray, saying they want answers. They've been running around, they've been shot out and stuff like that, and they deserve a bit of respect. And of course, Murray kind of backs off, doesn't he?
Yeah.
A
couple times, I think. She's really good at ripping into people.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Well, obviously, Hopper's a dumb male, so there you go. But anyway, so we're back underground with Steve and the gang. They see the Russians and they start sneaking around. Um, oh, this bit made me laugh is when they went into that place, shut the door behind them, and that Russian guy was there. Do you remember that bit? And then Robin
Oh,
starts to speak a bit of Russian,
hmm.
and then Steve attacks him and lays him out. And Dustin goes, "This is the first fight you ever won." Which I was quite funny.
It's funny because it's like the most spontaneous out of all of the fights. Like you don't really expect it, I guess.
Yeah.
And I like that I had a very similar response the first time I saw that too, where I was just like, oh my God, he did that.
Mhm.
But, and it's all, I guess it's kind of funny that he just tried to beat up regular people and sucked at it and somehow was able to take out a Russian soldier.
He got lucky, I guess. But
Oh,
yeah, I mean, it's the only good thing that's happened to Steve so far in the whole of this episode, which is yeah. So and they see the machine as well, don't they? They see that they're trying to open the breach, the doorway, and so now they're really worried. Um, so there you go. So we're with Nancy and the gang, and they go to the hospital, but the black woman behind the counter says only two can visit Mrs. Driscoll. So the rest of them have to wait. So they go up there and they get attacked by Tom and Gary Busey. I don't know his real name in the show. But that,
yeah.
sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to say, no matter what role he plays, it's always Gary Busey.
But it was a really good scene, a really tense, with the fight between Jonathan and Tom, and Gary and Nancy. It was pretty intense, wasn't it? While the rest of the kids downstairs was, talking and Lucas is saying, when you go and talk to 11 and stuff like that, and all that stuff. So but it was very, very tense, and this one ends in a cliffhanger, doesn't it? Ends where Gary Busey turns into muck, and then that muck turns into the big, what do you call it, a monster or mind flare?
I was calling it the gooey mind flayer
because
right. It's just like, it's the smaller version of it, and it's made of goo instead of like shadow.
That's small. It looks huge to me.
You've seen it in the sky, right? It's much larger.
Yeah.
But that is pretty gross and big and ew.
Yeah. So it ends where Nancy is being confronted by the gooey monster, and Jonathan's telling her to run, and that's the cliffhanger of episode 5, which is a pretty good episode as far as I'm concerned, because it does have a lot going for it. It does. The story keeps moving. You're not really bored watching it. And yeah, apart from the things I mentioned before, apart from that, it's very, very enjoyable. Episode 5. What did you think?
Yeah, no, honestly, it's kind of like these last few sort of pick up the pace in a way, and like there was enough stuff in it that was like really fun for me. And yeah, no, I totally agree. It was very fun to watch for me, and it was intense. And like, there's not season 1 for me was way more like, and generally speaking for the season, I was way more stressed watching season 1 because like you don't really know what's going on, and
Sure.
the stakes haven't really been set yet, like you don't know how to measure it.
Yeah.
And so it was nice having another episode like that in season 3.
Yeah. A fun fact is that the guy that plays Jonathan hurt the guy that played Tom, because when they had sugar, when he hits him with the vase, so they had a sugar vase, a breakable vase. But I think they had to do it 6 times, and they had a rubber vase. So when he hit him with the rubber vase, it hit him in the ear.
Oh.
And so he got hurt a bit. That guy played Tom got hurt a bit, but he was fine. Nothing broken on his head or anything like that. So there you go. Fun fact.
There you go. I learned something.
Yeah. Right. So, episode 6.
Yes. Pluribus unum.
Mm.
That means out of many, one. And I can show off my patriotism by not having known that was the motto of the US. But that's kind of playing off, obviously, this kind of idea that there's all these like goo people, basically, I think.
Yeah.
Yes. This one is like we've got Steve and Robin, who have been captured and interrogated. We got Dustin and Erica doing their own stuff. Hopper, Joyce, and Marie are on their own teams with Alexi. And Elle's trying to find Billy. Like those are kind of like the bullet points for this episode. Yeah.
So our episode 6 starts off with the Russian hideout, when they're in the Russian hideout or the base, and the gang are being chased by the Russians, and Dustin and what's her name, the little black girl, can't remember her name, Erica escape, but Robin and Steve get caught. And then we're in a hospital, obviously, to conclude this cliffhanger with Nancy and the big gooey thing. And she gets the door open just in time before the gooey thing can get her. But then the gooey thing smashes through the door, as I recall, doesn't it? And she's just about to get mauled by this thing when, guess what? 11 turns up.
No way.
And saves them. This will be a recurring thing with 11. She'll come and save people. So she saves Nancy from the monster, and she pushes it out the window, and it smashes into the pavement just beyond the hospital. And they run out, and the gooey thing goes down a drain, and then it makes its way to the gooey people.
Yeah.
Hold on, what's this?
It left a nice little detail was that it left a couple human bones behind that didn't go down the drain.
Yeah. And then when it meets the gooey people, and there's Billy, and Billy says it's time. And then we have the opening credits. But what was this episode called? I couldn't even read it.
What was that? What?
This episode called?
E pluribus unum.
What does that mean?
That's the out of many one. It's Greek for that. It's fancy talk.
Fancy talk for out of many one. Okay.
I know, it's like the last. Come on, you guys, you had to go for that for the episode title, but no.
Well.
And we.
Go on.
Oh, I was going to say, so after the opening, we pop out in the festival. It's getting ready. The Russian Terminator shows up and roughs up the mayor.
Poor old Larry. Yeah.
Oh, that's his name. I keep calling him Mayor Carey always in my head.
Well. If you think of Jaws, because obviously they're trying to model him on the character of Larry in Jaws, because Larry the mayor. So if you think of Jaws, you'll always know him as Larry. So there you go.
He's kind of like the stress ball of the show. Like he gets roughed up real bad in this season. Yeah, it's like kind of like what you wanted to do with the mayor in Jaws, but couldn't.
Yeah. So is this the 4th of July celebrations? Is it?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, it's the fun fair, isn't it? And that's where he gets roughed up by the T2 guy. Says it was your job to find Hopper. And he's like, he's stupid. He's driving in a yellow car. We'll find him. And Arnie was not happy, pushed him around and stuff. So, yeah. So that's what happens there. Oh, and then we're back at Murray's place, right? And they want to know what's happening at the the Russian place, and so the Smirnoff says he wants a burger? No, he wants a Burger King, doesn't he?
Yeah, he wants 2 Whoppers, extra ketchup, large fry, marble of regulars, and an extra large Slurpee cherry flavor.
That's the one. That's the one. And Hopper comes back and gives him the stuff, but he got strawberry instead of cherry flavor, didn't he?
Yes. And I gotta agree with Lexi there. There is a difference when it comes to Slurpee flavors.
Yeah. And then he Hopper being Hopper gets really angry and picks him up and chucks him out, throws the keys at him and stuff, and shuts the door, and everybody's going, "What are you doing? He's gonna drive away," and stuff like that. And Hopper's like, "You know what? I've known characters all my life. I'm a cop. I know that he's not gonna go away because the Russians are gonna be after him, so he'll definitely come back." And everybody's like, "No, look, he's getting in the car." But Hopper was right. That's one for the boys. Yeah. Hopper was right because he didn't. He stopped, didn't he? And
he finally
he didn't mind strawberry in the end, didn't he? So
that was cute too. It's like, yeah, I guess it's the same. What did he say exactly? I don't even remember.
He says he doesn't mind strawberry or something like that. But have you not noticed the music that was playing out of the car was from another 80s movie? Mm-hmm. Do you know what movie that was from? It was Neutron Dance by the Pointer Sisters. And it was the song that was played in the action scene in the beginning of Beverly Hills Cop when he's being chased. Yeah. So there you go. Another homage to another 80s movie, and they just keep coming, don't they?
I appreciate the fact that you are picking these out for us, because I am pretty dense sometimes, and I don't even know my own references. But yeah.
So we're in the tunnel with Dustin and God, what's her name again?
Erica.
Yeah. And he's trying to stop the fans so they can go through. And they have this chat, and she calculates something in her head, and Dustin proves that she's a nerd, which she resents. And he says all this stuff, and he proves that she's a nerd, so she's really peed. And he stops the fan, and they go through. That's that scene, which I thought was quite nice. Actually, it was quite nice. Dustin, proving a point. And as I said, she's really irritating. He should have just left her there, personally. So Steve gets beaten up by the Russian.
Well, it's not a season unless Steve gets beaten up.
But the question is, and here it comes, boys and girls, why didn't they beat up Robin? Why didn't they beat up Robin? Can you answer that question for me, Finn?
Well, I'm going to say it's stereotypical, because a lot of the movies back in the day, even like True Lies and stuff like that, they would threaten the guy with physical harm and emotionally manipulate the girls. So like, I can see why they're doing it that way for like theatrical purposes, because it's like you can get to the girls easier if you make them upset, because if you hurt them, it's easy. They won't talk to you, or I don't know. It's very stereotypical, or well, no, I'm not gonna say stereotypical. What's the right word? It's a trope. Yeah, there you go. That's the word I'm looking for.
It's a trope.
Yeah.
In other words, the road doesn't go both ways. So let's just move on, shall we? So they're both tied to. Well, he's tied to a chair. And he's getting beat the crap out of him. And then we've got Nancy and the gang and 11 trying to find out where the mind flare is. But she has to be careful, because if she finds the mind flare will know where they are.
Yes.
Yeah, so she basically what have I got here? Mike is very worried about her, because he's very worried that she might do herself an injury by using her powers. And they have that big discussion, don't they, with Nancy and Max and the rest of them. And Mike admits that he loves her. He just blurts it out, doesn't he?
Yeah. He's just
Yeah.
like, I don't want to lose her because I love her. And then everybody's like, woo.
Yeah. But still, though, as I said, I don't like Max. I don't like she manipulated. She manipulated 11, and also, as I said, as Mike is right, you made her spy on us. He could have been doing a big dump, and but is that right? Do you know what I mean? And he was right. She did convince her to do that.
Yeah, and he was just basically saying that they're using her like a machine, which is like, yeah, actually, if you think about it, like up until this point, like every single person's like, we've got a problem. Elle, come fix it.
Yeah, but Nancy's right. I mean, what choice do they have? But there's a threat to the world, there's a threat to their town, so they have no choice but to use her.
Yeah.
So I mean, the argument could be argued both ways, I guess, because Mike cares about her, actually loves her, and he doesn't want her to get hurt, mentally or physically. So I guess they're both right. So we have the Russians and the Russian, Hooper and Joyce. The Russian guy explains. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, it's just a very long scene of him explaining that what we already know as an audience, that there's a Russian machine that's drilling a hole into the gate.
Mm-hmm.
And he says there's a way to turn it off with some keys. And that's pretty much the whole scene.
Yeah.
No, they're super cute, though. Honestly, every scene with Alexei, I just I eat it.
So we're back with Robin and Steve, and they drag Robin in there, and Steve's wakes up, and Steve gets an injection in his neck, but not Robin. So but not. Shall I say that again? But not Robin.
Well, they don't show it on camera, but it's alluded to afterwards that she got one too.
Steve gets beaten up, but not Robin. Steve gets an injection in his neck, but not Robin.
Maybe it's just beating up the mayor. Maybe this is how there's always that jock in every 80s thing. So he's there constantly, so you can get some sort of catharsis from watching someone punch him in the face.
I don't know. I just think it's as I said, if I wasn't doing this review, I probably wouldn't have noticed any of that stuff, because the first time I saw it went way over my head. But looking at it in a little bit detail, you realize that it isn't weighed equally. As I said, most of the boys in this are pretty dumb or acted anger or frustration, but the girls seem pretty clued up, which again, maybe it's on the cards for the fourth one. Who knows? But anyway, so Steve gets injected with the truth serum, but Robin doesn't. And I don't know what happens after that.
Back.
Yeah.
We go back to the cabin, and Elle is connecting, trying to find and connect to Billy.
That's it. To
find the source still, because she just keeps trying. But
we find out why Billy's the way he is, don't we? Or hint at it. Yeah.
It's really sad.
Well, it's sad, all right. So Hopper rings, which we don't see Paul Reiser in this, do we? He hasn't been in this one, has he, Paul Reiser?
Not yet, no. Yeah.
So he rings the organization that Paul Reiser is linked with to tell them what's going on. He has a code, doesn't he, in his wallet?
Yeah. I love the Joyce is he wrote that down on a card.
Yeah. And so he rings up and says, we need help because we're going to there's going to be problems at the fun fair and blah, 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 blah. But Joyce is not happy with this because she said, look, the kids are going to go to the fun fair. They're going to be in trouble. So she rings up the guy again and tells him, look, we want you to go down there now. I thought that was quite a funny scene, actually.
Yes, yeah.
And Hopper just wanted to wait, but Joyce is like, my kids are in danger. I'm not waiting for anything. So they all decide to go on a road trip.
Yeah,
Um,
road trip.
yeah, road trip.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm glad we're rewatching it because, like, the first time I went through the season, a lot of the decisions on where people were going confused me.
Mm.
But now watching it again, I'm like catching why. So I'm like, oh, they're going. The reason why they get back to the festival is because like the story they've been fed is that the kids are there, so they're concerned about the kids. Because
Yeah.
before I was like, how did they get there? Like, why did they go back? You know?
Yeah, it is good to watch things twice. You know, sometimes well, when I was a lot younger, I used to watch films twice. I used to watch it one for myself and then watch it to see how the audience would react. I used to love doing that with James Bond movies. I would go and see James Bond on the first night as a punter, and I'd just watch the film and enjoy it. And then I'd go and see it a couple of nights later just to see how the crowd reacts to the gags and stuff. And yeah, I mean, you know, it's a way of learning, I guess, as a filmmaker. But doing something like this, reviewing it, you know, it's good as well because then you get closer to what's going on or what's not going on. Maybe you see more holes in the plot, or maybe not. Depends, doesn't it? So Robin and Steve are high now because they've been injected with the truth serum. By the way, we see Steve get injected, but not Robin. So,
You made a good point. She could, you know.
and Dustin and what's her name rescues them
Yeah.
because they took all the green goo and they made a distraction, didn't they? They poured it onto the ground,
Yes.
and it seeped through the floor like in Aliens. And then they went in there because there was an alarm, and they all got calls to that. I went in there and zapped the doctor with the cattle prod thing, and they all escaped. Which is a good scene actually. I like that scene. And then 11 is still in Billy's mind, and she finds out she finds him, and she comes out of it, but she thinks she comes out of it, but she doesn't, does she?
Yeah. Right.
Because everybody's missing, and Billy says, "We know where you are," and stuff like that, and says, "We're gonna come for you." And then she comes out of it, and she realized that there was a trick. And then Billy says he can see her now, and that's how it ends, isn't it?
There's people all over the town who kind of activate like sleeper cell type characters, and they all go to the steelworks factory to explode into goo.
Yeah, like children as well. Like, hey Billy, where you going? Don't you want to see the fireworks?
Sorry for that kid.
Yeah,
I would not want Hawkins.
Yeah. So there you go. So that's how that episode ended. This episode was okay. It was all right.
I liked the previous one more, honestly. But
sorry?
I liked the one before this one more.
Yeah, so did I. Yeah. But this one's okay. This one's a good episode. And this is episode 7.
Yeah, we're rolling on 7. The Bite.
Is that what it's called?
That's a lot easier to say than the last title.
Yeah, I couldn't remember the last time.
So, like, in this one, we got a couple bullet points. So we got the teams are we got Lucas, Will, Max, Mike, and Elle together. Dustin and Erica are with Steve and Robin still, right?
Right.
Wait, did I read? Hold on a second. Did I go on the right? Yeah, no, I'm on the right one. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I'll tell you what. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead. Go on.
Oh, and I was going to say there's also Joyce Hopper, Murray, and Alexi still looking for the kids at the 4th of July thing. What were you going to say?
Just go ahead.
What were you going to say?
I was going to say it starts off with Nancy's mum and dad and little sister, doesn't it? Where they go on the big wheel, and they go to the top, and obviously the dad's oblivious as always. And then the little girl sees the trees moving. She goes, "Mom, the trees are moving. You're not supposed to look at the trees. You're supposed to look at the fireworks." Yeah. Remember that?
Yeah, that little girl, man. She sees a lot of weird stuff.
Yeah. So yes, that's how that starts off. And then what's this here?
We got Elle basically telling them what she saw, and then the monster making an appearance.
That's
The
it. Yeah.
blue flare guy.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh, yeah. She's explaining that Billy said that she was going to kill everyone,
Mm-hmm.
which is a comforting thought, I guess, for them. Um,
And they
Steve.
realized that he could see where she was, so that they
Yes.
knew where she was. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And then we got Steve and the gang. Dustin escape, but when they try to get out, they see some soldiers, don't they? And they go back in.
Yes.
There's that scene. I can't remember how they got out of that, but anyway.
They snuck around.
They
No,
snuck
and
around.
drove them in like one of their little golf cart type things.
Yeah.
Just, I don't know. The details are, yeah, you don't need them.
Yeah. Okay. Then we have Nancy and the gang tooling up. Nancy with a gun, and everybody's like waiting for all these people to come and get them because they realize that Billy knows where they are. So they try to escape, don't they?
Yes,
they drive away.
Elle almost gets nipped taken along the way, like out of the cabin. The goo flare guy grabbed her, but they were able to manhandle her back in.
that was it. Yeah. So Nancy was shooting at it, and Lucas was trying to cut that thing that was holding their legs in half.
Oh, the axe.
Yeah, and he did in the end, didn't he?
Indeed.
Yeah, so he succeeded there. And then Dustin and the gang, Steve and Robin and the little black girl, they use the walkway to get back into the mall, don't they? Yes. So they get in there and go into the cinema to watch Back to the Future. Yeah. So basically, Steve and Robin is high, so they tell them to sit there, and I can't remember the girl's name. I keep forgetting the girl's name.
Her name's Erica, right?
Erica. Dustin tells Erica to look after them while he does something. I can't remember what he did.
He wants to find a car. Oh, no, he's quote unquote looking for a ride.
Oh, okay.
And that's like he's gonna go try to reach Mike and them, I think is what he's
doing. Oh yes, of course. Yeah. Hopper and Joyce go to the fun fair. They made it the fun fair.
We forgot that there's that classic scene in the car where Murray tells them to bang already. Like Jonathan.
Yeah, Murray he does that a lot, doesn't he? He can see when. Yeah.
He has a great laugh in the back, though, I think, with Alexi, which is cute. Because he's like, what was that? And he's like, oh, they haven't, I was telling them to have sex. And he's like, they haven't had sex yet? Ha ha ha.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
As Classic. If it was that easy. But there you go. Yeah, they get to... And I sort of like lost my way here. So the only thing I've got written here is that they're in a department store and they're trying to find some stuff for what's her name's leg.
Yeah, Levin's they leg. Like a little grocery store and like grab supplies and stuff.
Yeah. How did they get in there?
How was that?
How did they get in there? Did they smash a window or something? Is there something I missed here?
Well, they don't show them getting in. I'm gonna assume that they broke in unlawfully somehow. Maybe broke a window, or technically back in the day, they didn't really lock places up as well as they do nowadays for businesses. So it is possible they could have just forced the sliding doors open, maybe.
Okay.
But, I'm gonna give them another one of those weak passes of it could have shown it, but a
Yeah.
suspension of disbelief, I guess. It could have been like much more unbelievable.
So Levin's leg is hurting her,
Mhm.
and I think it was Nancy said, "Let's do this," and Max says, "No, no, no, no. We should do this, this, and this because because I skateboard, and when I fall off, I know I have to do. If I scrape my legs, then I have to do this, this, and this." Again, couldn't it not been a guy that came up with that suggestion? Again, it's Max, and in the previous episode in the house, it was Nancy that worked everything out. She was a regular Columbo, and Max now is a nurse. So again, the boys are dumb, the girls are clever. Um, I like the scene where Lucas finds all those fireworks.
Yes,
And
yes.
he knows that if he combines all, so and say it's like dynamite. He was saying so, which I can't believe they sold that stuff in those days. Very dangerous stuff.
They still do technically. I mean, not to that like power. Well, technically, you can still get it for free. I mean, not free, but like it's illegal in most places, but you can purchase it on reservations, Native American reservations, and you're legally allowed to light it there. But for years, my extended family would just go there, buy a whole bunch of stuff, and just drive it back. And you could totally tell the difference in the neighborhood when someone was lighting off those fireworks.
Yeah.
It'd be like, you're boom, 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 and then.
Yeah, I mean, it's a weird one. I mean, today kids can't buy fireworks, especially in England. They have to. An adult has to buy it for them.
That's
what's that?
That's smart. I don't think that they're quite as locked down on that over here.
No, well, over here they are. So because we have bonfire night, which is we celebrate the almost downfall of the Houses of Commons, which is where all the government goes. But you know the story behind that, don't you? Reason why we celebrate bonfire night, which is puzzling, is because Guy Fawkes tried to burn down the government.
Oh right, remember the
5th of November. Yes. So yeah, that's the reason why. I don't know why they celebrate something like that. It's really dumb, but kids seem to love it, and it's not as popular. In fact, Halloween's more popular now in this country than November the 5th.
Oh yeah.
So there you go.
You got.
Well, yeah. I mean, one celebration's about ghouls and goblins and scary things, and the other celebration's about a madman that tried to kill the prime minister and his cabinet, which is interesting, don't you think?
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah. So there you go. Anyway, where were we?
The Hop and Murray, Joyce, and Alexei get to the festival and split up because that's how everybody's got to do it.
Yep. They
spots Hopper because duh.
Yeah, exactly. But before that happens, doesn't Dustin contact Mike on the walkie?
Right. Thank you. I missed that one. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
And that was a fun scene too.
Sorry, say again?
That was a really fun scene. They had like the audio from Back to the Future synced up to like Dustin finally reaching them, and it's like the Eureka music.
Yeah. So and then we are in the fun fair, and all shit happens down there, doesn't it? Doesn't Hopper have a fight with the T2 guy?
Not yet. The mayor tells the Russians that he's there, and then we get some more of the store, basically, where they're just arguing about Coke, the new Coke, and
you see that Coke again.
I know, and it really bugs me. It was very on the nose, but it was kind of like one of those, like in the 80s, it was their advertising campaign was like, "Ooh, it's the new flavor," and blah blah. But it really did taste like butt. So
yeah. So we got that, What else we got? Oh yeah, but when they leave, we
Mhm.
find out that the blood on the floor is pulsating. Don't we?
Oh,
Remember that bit?
yes, yes. Yeah,
So
the
we know.
blood from Al's leg.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's not
good
happy.
stuff.
Mm.
Yeah, wasn't happy
Uh,
it got lucky.
no, yeah, exactly. Yeah, so yeah, I think was it a gunfight with Hopper and the T2 fella?
He well, he based. Let's see, where are we going? Nice. Oh well, that comes up a little bit later. In the Yeah, because from the store we go back to Robin and Steve bonding.
In the toilet,
Yes, yes,
and
and
this is the
that's
scene.
when you find out that Robin is gay, right?
Gosh, what a surprise! So, in other words, right, Steve is so pathetic in this. He's not clever enough to work out anything. He's not
Yeah, oh, that
even.
was a better scene.
It was that scene was ridiculous to me, absolutely ridiculous. He even wusses out when she tells him, and when she's talking about the girl, and he's like, "Well, she's not cute." Blah blah blah. He wusses out because obviously he fancies her. He
Mm-hmm.
doesn't get pissed off,
I
you
really
know.
wish it had been written different. I mean, like I like the idea that he's learning to respect, like a relationship more than just like hots and popularity. And then, like it should be something more substantial, I guess, if like the girl he really has the strong feelings for comes out as like being gay, like I feel like his response was weird. And it was also like ridiculously thick of him to be like, what do you mean? She's like, I like girls. What do you mean? And it's just like, the kind of like, she gives him all the hits in the world.
It's just kind of like a slap in the face to Steve. I mean, I don't know who I don't know who wrote most of this, but it's like, what's the point of Steve now? Then, do you know what I mean? It's like he's the thickest guy in the whole of the saga, and he's not good for anything. And
Gotcha.
and he can't even and the girl Robin,
Mhm.
she just it just seems like the cards are stacked in her favor. And then the huge blow that she's gay when he ends up fancying her, which I don't know, it just doesn't sit well with me, that scene at all. It's kind of like when you eat a piece of chicken and you're really enjoying it, and then you bite, and then suddenly there's a bone there, and you're
Or
like,
like a gristle or something. Yeah.
sorry,
Or like a little bit of the gristle or like the chewy bit.
yeah, yeah. I mean,
Totally get
you're hoping that the writers would give him one thing, and one thing that's good would be Robin, him being in a relationship with Robin, realizing that that all girls, you shouldn't fancy all girls because of the way they look, because Robin is not, let's face it, she's not a knockout. She's okay though, she's okay looking, but it's just this idea that now she's gay. Do you know what I mean? It just thinks of, I don't know. I really don't know. Just really silly.
Yeah. Poor Steve can't catch a break.
Yeah, well, as I said, I think I don't know. This is where it's starting, I think. That's the way it's going. Yeah. So anyway, whatever. So that scene I really didn't like. Because as I said, they should have given Steve something. He got beat up, he got shot at, he got his ass kicked in season 1, gets ass kicked in season 2. He wins a fight only to be kicked in the nuts by the girl that he fancies being gay.
Yeah.
So
poor guy.
Well, as I said, it's I don't know. It just it really does. It really does. I don't know. Why should I care anyway? I didn't create this. So if they want to add all that stuff in there, this is where it starts, because even in 2018, Doctor Who was heading that way as well. So maybe it was an order from above. I don't know. I really don't know. But anyway,
yes.
So I don't like that scene.
Oh yeah. No. we got Billy just he's tracking them down, so we just see him briefly showing up at the store and finding Elle's really weird blood. And then we go back to the festival again. There's so much, like, I gotta say, there's a lot of bouncing in the last couple episodes before they all meet up. And we got Alexei and Murray still hanging out in the car, and he's telling Murray like all the extra details and stuff that they need. And then Murray's like, "Oh yeah, let's just go into the festival. It's cool." So they go into the festival together.
As if. Why would you do that?
Yeah, and then Hopper and Joyce interrogate Mike's mom in the Scrambler. I think that's what those are called. I can't remember the exact name of the ride. But yeah. And then, of course, they think that Hopper and Joyce are really weird people. And it's like, oh, what a cute, quaint couple that just don't know anything.
Yeah. So we cut back to, I think we cut back to the mall, don't we, when they're trying to file out with the crowd coming out the cinema. And we have cops, but they're fake cops because they're Russian. They're Russians.
They're rushing around.
Yeah.
They have to turn around and go find someplace else to hide.
Yeah, but the question is, right, this is a mall here. You think you'll have mall cops, people looking after the mall? Because like when malls shut down, they have security guards, don't they? Usually.
Well, I think the idea is that the mall was purchased by them, and it's a cover, so technically they would control that part, I think.
I see. Okay, well, that makes sense, I guess. But anyway, so basically everybody they skedaddle out by using the escalators, don't they? And the cops follow them, and guess what? They got saved by Elle.
What a coincidence.
Yeah, do you see a pattern emerging here? Yeah. So because she throws a car at them, doesn't she?
Yes.
Yeah. And then we have the leg stuff where her leg starts hurting.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And then while her leg is hurting, we got the festival going on again. And it's so sad. So Murray and Alexei being real cute.
Yeah. So there you go.
For some fair food, and Alexei is determined to win a stuffed animal using a rigged fair game. So he does.
But why would you let him out of the car? Why would you let him do that? That doesn't make any sense, because that the Russians be looking for him. There's a possibility that the Russians are out there at the fun fair because Joyce is saying their kids might be in danger. So the
question is, why even bring him to the fair? Like, they should have dropped him and Murray off somewhere and been a little more discreet about it than just leave them sitting in the parking lot at the fair.
That's right.
In a topless car. Yeah.
So that didn't make any sense, and they allowed him to play, allowed him to go into the fun fair, and it just didn't make any sense. But hey, that's the way it goes, I guess.
He lived his American dream. He had a slushie. He won his Woody the Woodpecker, and then he sadly got shot by the Russian Terminator, and it was so sad.
Oh dear. So does it end with Elle's leg? I can't remember how this one ended.
This one, from there, it goes to Hopper running through the maze house, the crazy house, the fun house with the Russian guys following him.
Right.
And he beats a whole bunch of them up, but they don't have names or faces, so it doesn't count.
Yeah.
And then he, of course, can't beat the big guy, so they run away.
Yeah.
Murray overhears the Russians on the radio saying that they've got kids cornered at the mall, and Joyce is like, "Oh God, it's our kids!" So, and that's the end of the episode. No. Then we go back to Elle with her leg. That's it.
All right. Okay. So
that's a leg, and it ends that way.
Yeah. This episode was okay, apart from the toilet scene.
Yeah.
which I thought they were, if you can call the writers gods because they create the whole of that world, you could, I can honestly, truly say that those gods are spiteful, and they do not like Steve at all.
They're early Greek gods before they were cooler. Like, did you read much Greek stuff?
Some of it.
A lot of the gods in the earlier Greek legends were complete tools, and they effed with humans constantly. And Zeus was just like an a-hole. And then in the later myths, they started being more heroic and like people you could look up to. But it's kind of like that, I think.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, it makes no sense, but such is life. I just think it's going to get worse. Season 4, you're going to have all these you're going to have all these characters that are pointless. As I said, Robin is pointless. What's the point of having Robin at all if she's not going to be the love interest for Steve at all?
You know what?
I mean? I'm
going to throw something out there, real, out there, but. Instead of Robin, because we're dealing with this problem already before we had introduced Robin and Erica of having too many characters, and like trying to figure out what to do with them from a writing standpoint. Because I'm looking at it, I'm like, Jonathan was really useless too. What if Jonathan and Steve had been paired together this season? Because that would have been interesting to see them actually working together, and because at least then they'd both have something that they were doing.
Well, for me, what I would have done is I would have got rid of the Robin character, would have got rid of the Erica character, and I would have give Steve the smarts, and he'd be together with Justin. And then when they got caught, Justin escaped because he's small enough to go through that hole, and and everything plays out. That's what I would have done, and I wouldn't have had 11 save people so much because it's just repeating. Because we're doing a critique of the episodes, you doing it this way, you realize how many times 11 saves people, and it's way too much. You'd think that the kids, you write in such a way that the kids would save themselves or in some way, escape or something like that. I wouldn't have had Jonathan be so useless and so soft. I would have Jonathan because there's no way he's not going to help Nancy. He's in love with Nancy, and this idea that he's more worried about his job than the relationship that he has with Nancy didn't make any sense to me, because he fought for her in season 2, and now they're together. You'd think that he'd have some balls to literally fight for her in the job. Now, the reason why I say that is because in season 1, he stood up to his father for his little brother. It's not like he's a coward or lacks courage.
And he tackled and beat the crap out of Steve in season 1.
That's right.
I mean, he's not afraid to stand. Well, he wasn't afraid to stand up to people.
Yeah, and this is the reason why I think this whole thing, this whole agenda thing, has started in this season, because, as I said, as a writer and a standpoint of liking these characters, I would never have treated those characters like that. Mike, for instance, I would have teamed up Mike with 11. I would have get rid of all that stupid moral stuff, because that was just time filling with the trying on clothes and stuff. In the end, that didn't make any difference to any of the characters. Didn't build up any character, didn't take away from the characters, didn't add anything to the characters at all. I would have got rid of Max. It's pointless Max being there. Billy would have been the threat, still the threat that he is. I mean, it's just that it sounded like they're adding characters to actually, I hate to say this, fit the agenda. That's what it sounded like to me, or feels like to me, especially when Robin kicks Steve in the nuts and tells him that she's gay. That all seemed to me to be contrived.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that no matter the reasoning behind it, the writing really suffered for the characters this season.
Yeah, it did.
And it is kind of unfortunate, because it seemed like the first 2 seasons had more direction for where the characters are going. And for season 3, they all started going in like weird directions. Like they kind of splintered off from like the route that you were kind of expecting, I guess. And not in a good way, obviously. I feel like, I don't know. It's like they had the story, but they didn't know what to do with the characters they had. And that's the worst, I think. One of the hardest things when you have an established cast, basically, like if you introduce a lot of them, you have to start answering the questions like, where'd this one go? What's this one doing? And if you can't come up with a good, excuse or something, then it's going to make the story suffer, And I think that's what season 3 is suffering from.
Yeah,
regardless of what, they just lost it.
I totally agree with you. As I said, these characters that have been introduced from season 2 to season 3, there's no place for them, as far as I can tell. Max, there's no place for Max. They just created this place for her. There's no place for Robin. It would have worked just fine if Robin was just in the background and he, in the actual ice cream place itself, and Steve worked out lots of stuff because he's more knowledgeable than Robin. And he went off with Dustin and left Robin in the ice cream place. It would have made more sense. But I don't know. Anyway, I'm not writing it. Doesn't belong to me. I don't own the copyright. So there you go. But yeah. So shall we start off with episode 8?
Oh yeah, hang on. I had to put something down. Yes. So we're back in the car, and it's really short. They're basically driving back, and Joyce is freaking out because their kids are in trouble.
Yeah.
And then in the mall, Jonathan performs minor surgery on Elle's leg, and she yanks out the thingy in her leg, flings it, and then Hopper dramatically stomps on it.
Yeah, that was a good scene. What is it? Elle had to take it out herself, didn't she? Because that horrible scene where he sticks his hand in.
Oh, God.
Like, I can do it.
She's like, get the F out.
Yeah. So so that was quite a nice scene.
So that's when our teams finally all converge.
Yeah.
Before we just had like them slowly coming. We had like the one group of kids, the other group of kids, and then the teenagers, and now we have the adults in there too. Yeah.
But what was interesting about the scene that followed was when Dustin and God, what's that little girl's name? Erica explaining to the Russian guy that they can't go that way. And they weren't listening. And then suddenly they were listening. That was really puzzling, don't you think?
Yes. And I didn't quite understand that either.
No, and you think that Hopper would listen after the adventures they've had, knowing that the kids are very resourceful. And why would they lie? You'd think that Hopper would say, look, shut up, mate. We've got to listen to these kids. They've been there. No, that's what I'm saying. It seems like they're creating problems just to move along the story, which is bad writing. Logic. It doesn't make any logical sense. As I said, just using that example of Jonathan was willing to fight for his girl. He loves his girl, and suddenly he's this wimp that works for, the newspaper, and he wouldn't even stand up for Nancy. It just made no sense how his character suddenly flipped, that he was just too soft to stand up. And it's the same thing with this. They won't listen to the kids. What are you talking about? These kids saved your life, more or less. Yeah, season 1 and 2. Huh?
They were like, they wanted them to even bring them back in. But I do appreciate that eventually they agree to let the kids go to the radio tower, I guess, in that scene, because they won't. To boost the radio signal. That was it.
Yeah, it was.
But I don't. Oh, that's right. Because Hopper agrees to let them tell him where to go, but he won't let them go with her. him, so therefore they need to boost the radio signal. Okay, that makes a little bit more sense. I had to piece it together in my head.
Yeah, that makes sense. Absolutely. But they should be listening to them in the first place.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying. Why, as I said, after season 1 and 2, why would you just go, look, kid, why is this kid talking to me? Said Murray. Hopper should have said, shut up. They know what they're talking about. We've been through life and death together with these kids. Listen to what they're saying.
From a writing point of view, because I know you work on, your show and other pieces too. I mean, like, have you ever, because I think this might be the problem too, since they have multiple writers on the show, that like when I write something way earlier in a piece, like in like early chapter, and sometimes I forget the details, and if I don't go back and check or like make sure, like I might get something wrong later. I get that feeling with some shows with their with writers, where some writers have obviously like they're aiming for something in what they're writing, and then like a couple seasons later, someone completely forgot about it or they get it wrong, or
script editors. You have script editors, and you also have a showrunner that's supposed to keep track of these things. You have continuity, and continuity is on the set, but script editors should pick up on things like that. They should be, first of all, before they start writing anything, this is the way they used to do it. I don't know whether they do it now. They have this huge whiteboard and they come up with ideas, and they have little cards and they stick it up on the wall. So they map out where the story's going first and foremost.
Oh, sure.
And then they decide to write the script according to where the story is going. Mm-hmm. And so the script editor and the showrunner, not so much the showrunner, but if the showrunner is the writer too, they should be able to see the natural progression and talk about logic throughout the whole of the season. So really they shouldn't be making mistakes like that if you've got a good team. But I understand what you're saying is true, because you can forget certain things. It's like when I was writing Rebecca Gold, and there were certain things that people were suggesting on the set, and if you're not focused, you'd think it's a good idea, and you could make the mistake of shooting that idea and suddenly realizing that doesn't work because of this and this happened in the past, or they said this and this in the script. So you have to be really aware of what you're doing and what you're about to shoot. Do you know what I mean? So
yes. It kind of shows the difference between, like, I mean, like I'd say the quality of a show kind of shows, well, anything with canon, basically the idea of canon, you establish something and you follow it to the T. Yeah. And a good show is something that has a through line, or like, constant things that you can reference and that it just feels natural. And shows that don't have that, like you can be watching it and you might have something happen in episode 3 that's never referenced again, period, Yeah.
No,
it
is hard to keep track. It really is hard to keep track when you're writing stuff, but it can be done. I mean, there are mistakes. You can make mistakes along the way, but the problem is that when it comes to character building, you're supposed to sit. If there's a team of writers, supposed to sit around and say, "Look, will this character do this? Mm-hmm. Why would this character do this?" And
yes,
I can't believe they didn't sit there and go, "Why is Jonathan so weak?" Because he's very weak. In the whole of season 3. Mm-hmm. In fact, he probably had about maybe 50 pages tops of dialogue in the whole of season 3, I think. Well, I'd guess. And that's not a lot compared to, say, Joyce, maybe, or maybe even Mike. I don't know. It just, his character seemed to just stare and look very sheepish most of the time.
I don't know. Yeah, he at least with Steve, you notice him in a scene. And I don't want to be mean, but like Jonathan he isn't given anything to stand out with.
No.
in the season at all. Like, at least with Steve, he has moments and you're like, oh, it's Steve, you know? But like with Jonathan, it's just like whenever you see him, you get irritated. Like,
as I said, I think it's just poor writing and or you know, or maybe they've added look, they definitely have too many characters in this, definitely. And as I said, and I won't stand back on this, the characters I get rid of is Erica, Robin, who else would I get rid of? The Terminator
Steve,
guy,
technically, but
no, I would look. Steve really shouldn't even be in season 2 or 3, but he is, right? And if you can, and I said this before, if you're going to have him in season 3, make it count. But they didn't.
Yeah.
They just used him as a stepping board for every other person, from Dustin to Robin to Erica. They're all stepping all over him, and I don't see why.
Justice for Steve, you know what? Maybe we'll get some in season 4.
I hope so. I hope. You know, even at the ending, you know, look, I'm sorry, right, but nobody can be that douchey. Even well, we haven't come to the ending yet. I'll explain when we come to the ending. But nobody. I've never met anyone that douchey before. Have you? Maybe you have.
As Steve?
Yeah.
That's a close one. No, I don't think I actually have. Like, I mean, there were the jocks at school, but they weren't even the tropes of them. Like, I actually cheated off of one of them. So, you know, it was a long time ago, guys. But yeah.
she's all better now.
The over the top thing is very much like how Erica's personality grates on me. I feel like no normal kid would talk that way, you know, and it's similar with just like the personalities. It's just like sometimes they're so strong in the way that they project themselves that I'm like, I don't feel like that's genuine, you know. It's almost kind of like, I don't know, melodramatic. You know?
It doesn't seem real. It's like you ever watch Stargirl?
Yes,
the brother, her new brother. He's irritating as hell. Mm-hmm. Just like Erica. How can you? After watching all of this, I don't like Erica. How could you think having a loudmouth, irritating person like Erica? How would you think the audience would like a person like that? She has no redeeming features whatsoever. All she did was brag and try and put people down. She learned nothing at the end of that episode. She learned nothing.
You know, now that you say that, she really she helped them out, but then she just was really obnoxious to everybody.
Well, she
nice to somebody.
Yeah, but she helped them out to get more ice cream. That's not a nice trait, is it?
She doesn't even get ice cream, but we'll get to that.
But you know, as I said, you know, it's you know, it's like they reward the ignorant and arrogant people in this, but they don't reward, you know, the people that literally went out their way to save the day. Steve went out of his way to save the day. He got beaten up, for Christ's sakes. And what was his reward? His reward was the girl that he fancied turned out to be gay. How the hell did that work?
Boy.
What's that?
Stop blue balling our boy.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, as I said, I don't really like Steve, right? You know, I thought he didn't deserve to be in season 2 because he did hardly anything. And season 3, if you're going to have him in season 3, make it count. Make him do something that's, you know, that is unique to him, which is as you know, as the gods of writers, they decided what's unique to him is him being as dumb as fuck. Do you know what I mean? So, hey?
It's unfortunate, yeah. So we're gonna get justice for Steve next season.
Justice for Steve.
And,
all right.
Keep going.
Yeah. Hold on. So, what are we up to on this one?
So they have all reconvened at the mall, or met up at the mall, and they split up. Oh, wait, we got that right. Yeah, they split up. We have who goes with who here? Hold on. So,
Joy.
Dustin and Steve and Robin and Erica go to the tower.
Go up the hill. Yeah, they go up the hill. Yeah.
And then we have Nancy and Jonathan and Mike, Lucas, and Max, who are supposed to go to Murray's house for protection, but are stuck at the mall. Yeah. And then we have Joyce and Hopper and Murray going to the facility. Whew, it's so hard to keep track of these people.
Yeah.
Thank you, Bone. Justice for Steve.
But they, what is it? Nancy and the gang were just about to go to Murray's place, but they get confronted by Billy, don't they? Or have I jumped? Have I jumped forward?
He sabotaged the car.
That's
and
it.
Threatens them with his car, menaces them with his car. There you go. So they run back inside.
But the question is, where are the security guards? Why is that mall empty with no one protecting? Why? No, so a car just got flown through the mall, right? Smashing up everything. Why isn't the police called? Where is the police? Then again,
Hopper is the police.
Yeah, but what about the black guy and the white guy, the guy with the glasses and the two dumb cops?
The police officers are those two inept officers who just stand around.
Yeah,
it's them and the donut lady or whatever.
Oh yeah, of course.
The one who eyeballs people sideways.
That's right. But you would think, after all that wreckage, they'd be calling the police or somebody heard a noise. But anyway, that's besides the point.
The noise part gets me. Also, the giant monster thing. You think someone noticed, but
yeah, coming through the trees.
Oh, but fireworks. Those are really distracting.
But then again, it was the 4th of July, so the majority of the town was at the fair.
Right, that actually
airplane.
Such a convenient situation. Actually, where's the town? Not in the town.
Yeah.
Yes. So run back inside, and then we have Jim and Hopper beating up guards, and they steal uniforms from them.
Yep.
And then we got Steve, Robin, and Erica, and Dustin still driving because he had to go stick it like a bajillion miles away.
Yeah. But the car couldn't go up the hill, so they had to make it on foot, didn't they? So the car got stuck in and so they had to make up. But yeah. What else do we have?
We go to the mall, and they're trying to get an ignition cable out of one of the wrecked out of the wrecked car that Elle threw. Yep. But she can't move it with her powers, so they have to do it themselves.
Yep. And then she says, "Let me do it," doesn't she? Yes. Does she move the car? I can't remember.
She did not.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Didn't save the day there. Then.
What was that?
So didn't save the day there then.
Oh yeah. Well, it wasn't really that important. It's kind of like Baby Yoda. It's only when it's very important.
That's true.
But and then we got the base, and so we learned the team names, which I kind of think are cute. We got Bald Eagle, who is Murray.
Yep.
Then we got Scoop Stroop, which is Dustin and them. And then we have the Griswold family, which is funny because they have the station wagon.
Yeah.
So.
See, there's a reason for Murray to be there. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. He's not a bad character at all, and there's a good reason for him to be there because he has the knowledge and he could speak Russian and stuff like that, and he was established in the second season. So
I love him. He was over the top when they first introduced him, and he still is, but in an endearing way to me now.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
he tells them a good tip because he's the only one who can speak Russian. So he's like, if anybody talks to you, just was it smile and nod?
Yeah.
And,
Oh yeah.
and then he just leaves in the underneath the floor.
Yeah. But yeah, I like that scene where they took his advice, and when the shit were hitting the fan, when Murray took out the power.
Yes.
And what is it? Hopper and Joyce ran up the steps, and that guy, the Russian guy, comes out and he says something to them, and they just smile, and then he walks past them, and they go into that place. So, remember that scene?
Yeah, it was so perfect. He like asked them if somebody sent them, and they're just like, "Yep."
Yeah.
It worked.
That was quite funny. Yeah, that was quite funny. What else we got here? I can't remember why the mind flare turned up at the mall. It's because they knew
it was tracking 11 because of her goo
on
her.
Yes,
and yeah, and I want to complain about one thing, and like Will's superpower sucks.
Yes, yeah.
And every single scene he's ever been in where there's been other people where he can actually warn them, he stands there, feels the back of his neck, and waits until someone else notices something's wrong, and then he states the obvious. And I'm just like, Will, do something useful, please.
But that's the thing, you see. It's only effective if it serves the story. That's where the writing is bad. Immediately when he feels like in, I think it was one of the first episode or second episode, when they go to sneak into the cinema, and he's in the cinema and he feels the thing in his top of his neck. Why didn't he tell anybody?
Well, what? I like the first couple times I would understand if he doesn't know what it is, maybe. Like,
what are you talking about? Of course he knows what it is.
I know, I'm trying to give him some a little bit of credit here, but honestly, at the point where he knows 100% that he's got a superpower, he needs to be telling people when he's feeling stuff instead of just standing there. Because even from a writing standpoint, wouldn't it be more dramatic if you don't abuse the power first? He's been having it too often. So like you establish it first where he doesn't have control over it. Then he finds out what it is, and then have that moment where they have a moment of calm, everybody's getting along, and then have the back of the neck shot with the goosebumps. Yeah. And then have him warn everybody, because that makes sense, doesn't it? Like, at least to me, I don't know.
It does make sense. It does make sense. I don't know. As I said, it's a weird one, but hey, yeah, it's strange how he doesn't warn everybody. He just can feel it, but he doesn't tell everyone he can feel it. But dear, never mind. So, sorry.
Oh no, I'm totally in agreement there.
So what's next in this caper? We have Dustin and the gang on the hill, and he contacts his girlfriend, and his girlfriend says she won't give the information unless they sing that song. Oh, yes. Never ending story, which I thought was amusing when I first saw it, but this time around I thought, okay.
Well, at first I was like, God, that's so annoying. It's such an intense moment. But then I was like, well, she doesn't know that. Like, there's no way she would really take him that seriously. Like, she probably thought he was talking about like an RPG game or something. Yeah. But it was kind of cute. You know, if you ask, I have to spell it out because she's listening. But if you ask Alexa to play that song, she does their version of it.
Oh. Yeah. Okay. And then Hopper encounters Mr. Sorry, go ahead.
For a second, we forgot to establish why they need to get a hold of her.
Yeah, because she had the code, didn't she? The code to the
so
door.
They haven't what they find out when they get there, because I mean, they're sneaking around. Murray had the code wrong for getting, because it was a popular song, and he got the number of the notes wrong, and so sorry, it's a math equation, blah. And so Dustin realizes that Susie knows it, so that's why he contacts her on the radio. But
Okay.
that's actually the contacting her part slightly further down. They get the radio working at this point, but they from that point they're still sneaking around the Russian base, and the kids are hiding, and then they're basically running from the Mind Flayer the entire time in the mall. Like they just can't luck out, you know.
Yeah. Because I know he went in there, didn't he?
Yes, it busted through the ceiling, and then it's like stalking them, all ooey gooey like.
Yeah. So didn't they not? There was an error scene where Jonathan and Nancy got into the car to try and make the Mind Flayer go after them, and then it realized that 11 was still in the mall, so it turned back to go back to the mall, and then they had to turn their car back to the mall. Yes. Remember that scene?
Yes. Well, it's all really, at this point, everything is squished together. It's like everything hops between the two. Like if you re-edited it, you could have like a 10-minute chunk of one thing, a 10-minute chunk of another, and it might make more sense. But all that's pretty much happening at the same time, and they're leading it away. Yeah, and then they realize that it's going back, so they turn around and chase it. Yeah.
And then we have, I think it's Hopper has a fight with T2 Man.
Yes, he shows up when they're trying to disable the power thing with the few keys that they got from using the code to unlock the safe, because it's a 2-person nuclear deal. Yeah.
So they have a fight, don't they? And then it's interspersed with Billy finding 11 and dragging her towards the big monster thing.
Yes, he manhandles a few kids, tosses them about, tries to feed her to Mind Flayer.
I know. Did you notice that the bit where Billy has 11 on the ground, he headbutts her when she's on the ground? Did you notice that?
That was a real small detail, but he was a pretty violent dude at that point.
Yeah, it's a wide shot though. It's a wide shot, and it's barely visible, but you can see it.
Though I kind of liked that shot actually, because it had like the Mind Flayer thing in the background. Yeah. But
and you see like a big bruise on her head when he's on top of her, and then she makes him remember. Can't remember his childhood. Therefore, connecting with the real Billy. Yeah.
She doesn't say Martha though, but she does mention his mom. But this one actually makes sense. Okay, like honestly, if you're gonna bring up someone's mom, using a powerful memory of her that you witnessed is a better way of doing it than just shouting her name. So yeah, she breaks through to his whatever's left of his humanity, basically. And and so I guess he kind of stands up and then protects her from the Mind Flayer when it actually decides to try to attack her.
You see, Billy had a good path, didn't he? He kind of was this douche in season 2, and he was even a bigger douche in season 3, and then he gets taken over by these creatures. And then he redeems himself at the ending as a human being, and we get to know about it. So he has a good character development, and they did that with Billy. And Billy wasn't, if you look at the whole scheme of things, he wasn't that important. He wasn't as important as the main characters like Mike and and Joyce and Hopper, but his character arc was a good, solid character arc, unlike Steve, unlike Robin, unlike, you know what I mean? So there's all these superfluous characters that really shouldn't have been in the script to make it tighter. But then again, we are talking about TV. Sometimes when you write TV and you've got to fill hours, you've got to put stuff in there that just fills hours, you know? Yeah. So maybe that's the reason why, you know? But yeah.
And so all of this is happening in between. Like, so Billy is defending Elle basically getting owned
Yes.
in every sense possible. And at the same time, Hopper manages to vaporize the Robo Terminator guy.
Yeah.
And the kids are yelling at Joyce and them to do it because obviously the mind flayer is trying to eat them. So the Hopper does the sacrificial, like pointed look at her, and then she turns to flip the keys or whatever, and then poof, the thing explodes. But I like to point out the creative camera work there, where she turns and doesn't actually watch it happen.
Yeah.
And then when it comes back, there is a camera angle that I thought was very intriguing. But I'll keep that to myself.
But Hopper could have easily ran up those steps before she turned those 2 keys.
Well, here's what I'm saying. He could have easily run into the gate too, because it was still open.
He could have. See, but again, they're just writing so that the story will connect, not thinking about why or the situation itself, which I said doesn't make any sense to me. But hey, we're missing one bit, aren't we? Oh yes, we're missing Lucas's big moment with the fireworks. They come back and they start throwing fireworks at the monster, don't they?
It wasn't doing too much, but they were distracting it and causing it mild irritants.
Yeah.
That was it was way more useful than a slingshot in season 1.
Yes.
So he used it again in a very creative way in this one too.
I'm really surprised how they allowed him to use that slingshot in a show like that, because if you go back 5 years, you were never allowed to use weapons like that in kids. I don't know about American shows, but in British shows, you weren't allowed to. We had a character called Just William. He was created I think it was during the war, and basically he's this little school kid. Or maybe I'm wrong about that, but he's this little. I think it was a book, a novel, and then it became a comic. And he used to have a slingshot. He used to have made out of wood and stuff. And I remember. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say the kid toy weapons are different in our kind of. Right. We're really good about that. We don't like guns in kid cartoons, but we'll do like slingshots and like baseball bats hitting people and that kind of stuff. So I don't know.
That guns in Looney Tunes though.
That was old school. Like old school cartoons had a whole bunch of stuff that was like back in like I would say from the 20s to the 60s. To the 60s, there was a lot of that. But then we went through a kind of quote unquote maybe a Puritan phase, you might say, where a lot of our cartoons got cleaned up and like we're like prim for the kids again. Yeah. And so at that point we didn't have like guns and stuff in there. Like even like shows like I think even Pokemon. Yeah, there were episodes of Pokemon when they aired over here in like the 2000s where there were characters in the Japanese versions holding guns, and they were edited out in the American versions because we can't see characters holding guns in our cartoons.
Wow, that's crazy.
It's different, but that you can't have it on a kids channel. So,
well, I guess it makes sense. I guess you don't want kids to use guns, even though when they grow up they're gonna use guns. But I don't know. Yeah, as I said, they banned things like that in our country. Kids weren't even allowed to use slingshots or anything like that in TV shows, and so interesting.
But with the successfulness of the slingshot and the fireworks and the engine exploding and all sorts of stuff, it gets the mind flayer to explode. And they win. Yay. But Hopper's dead. And he's cough dead.
Yeah.
So they jump forward again. I think it's 3 months.
Yeah, 3 months later. Yeah.
And they're moving. And so it's pretty much like a really long long.
Hold
long
on, you forgot the bit where Robin and Steve are looking for work.
You're right. That's the best part of the ending in my book. The mouth breather from season 1.
That's right, Keith. Yeah,
is that a TV? Oh no, a rental store, right?
Yeah, like a Blockbuster. Yeah. I remember them actually around where I was. They used to have, because it was the days before films used to get certificates.
Yeah.
And they used to have video stores all over the place, with just people just running it. It wasn't a brand like Blockbuster. It was just, someone decided to have a shop where they sold loads of VHSs, films on VHSs and stuff like that. So, yeah, there were loads around where I lived at the time. But was there other stores other than Blockbuster in America?
Yeah, we there was Blockbuster, and another big one was Hollywood Video. But we also had local places. Like my family would always go to like a local rental place that because basically you just buy your own stuff and you can rent it out anyway. So
yeah.
So there was a whole bunch of that kind of stuff. But then it kind of got weeded out.
Yeah, it did, because Blockbuster came, and then suddenly Blockbuster was gone, and then now we got Netflix, and yeah.
And Redbox. Do you have Redbox over there?
No, we have BritBox.
Oh, is that like where you can like get it from like a street corner or something?
No.
Yeah.
No.
We have our Redbox over here is basically like these vending machine type things that are outside drugstores, and they have DVDs that you can rent. And you just like walk up to it with a card, and you pick out the movie you want, and it spits it out, and you can take it home for a day, and then you just take it back and drop it off.
Oh, really? I never knew. Wow, never knew that at all. Wow, that's cool. I guess it's like a newspaper. When you put money in, you can take out a newspaper. That's great.
Sorry. Just a little.
People still watch DVDs. They still watch them.
That's true.
DVDs still sell. Yes, in Europe. In Europe, it's still popular, DVDs, which is interesting when you think about it. So, but yeah, we had the long ending, didn't we? Where they were all leaving. Joyce is taking 11 with her, and so basically, Will. Is it Will, Jonathan, 11, and Joyce leave town, leaving behind Mike, Max, Lucas, Justin, and am I missing someone?
Steve. And Robin, I guess.
Yeah, well, they weren't part of that group, were they? Because
that's true.
Yeah. So leaving them behind in Hawkins. Which is going to be interesting to see what happens in season 4, whether they're forced to come back. Did it say where Joyce was moving to?
No, I do not believe so.
Okay.
But they were talking about like going places for like holidays, so it seems like it's some distance, because generally if you live like one town over, you can probably see each other more than twice a year.
Yeah. But even that ending with Jonathan, you'd think that Jonathan would stay. But they were actually saying it. You can stay in my basement, and he was like, no. And he felt the need to go with his mum.
Yeah.
But I guess because of money, I guess he went with his mum, because if he stayed, there was no place for him to stay and stuff like that. So I guess he had to go. But yeah, it wasn't. I didn't find those scenes sad. I just was relieved, to tell you the truth. I don't know about you.
No, the only thing sad about that was the final callback to the debacle at the beginning of the season with Hopper trying to have a conversation with her and Mike, because he had written out that letter with Joyce's help and then never used it. And she comes across it and she gives it to Elle, and then she reads it and it's narrated by him, and then all the feelings. Yeah. But I really loved that. I thought it was well done. And that was the only emotional part that hit me.
It's as I said, because like they're all growing up so fast, and it's going to be interesting to see where they take it. As obviously, if they're going to continue from the point where they stopped off, which was the Advent. So what year was this one set in? Was it 84, 82? I don't know. Do you know?
I forgot. It's been a while.
Well, it sounds like. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm just thinking you got it right about that.
But it sounds like it's to start the advent of the video stores, especially at the ending when when they go in there to get a job. So it feels like that. It feels like so I don't know what year that was, 84, maybe 85, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, if they stay in the 80s, then there'll be more nostalgia in season 4. But Lucas, the guy who plays Lucas, and the rest of them, they've got to look older.
Yeah, I'm gonna guess that they're going to have a time jump, but because they've already finished this next season, so it'll most likely be a year, probably again or something. But for the next season, I think that they'll have to do probably like a bigger jump because the kids are just too big. You can't hide it anymore. Like that, like Will, that actor, they didn't do themselves any help by putting him in weird little shorts.
Yeah.
He's so tall. And then they put him up against Winona Ryder, who's incredibly short. And it's just like that kid doesn't look like how old is he supposed to be? 12, 13?
Don't know.
But he's way too tall for that role. But yeah. And
also Mike, the way they dressed Mike was a bit weird as well. I mean, I remember the 80s. I never used to dress like that. I don't believe I ever, well, this is England, I guess, but I don't believe I've ever seen any of my friends in shorts like that. Unless they're playing football, of course.
Yeah, that's true. Well, he is a loner, so.
Yeah.
So, what? Now that we've actually made it to the end, what would you? Okay, I'm gonna guess your favorite season is season 1.
Of course, it is.
But, what is, if you remember, what is your either favorite episode this season? Or like favorite takeaway from it?
I don't have I guess episode 5 is the one I like the most because that moved along and also had a great cliffhanger. But I'm disappointed with this season. When I first saw it, I was fine with it. I thought it was just as good as season 2. But now I look at it in detail. I'm very disappointed with it because, as I said, because of all the things I've said about it, that the characters that didn't work and had no reason to be there, and it seems like there's a feminine agenda running through this one, and stuff like that. And this is one of the reasons why I didn't like season 3. And with everything that's happening now, I wouldn't be surprised if season 4 was even more driven with agenda and politics.
Would you give it a try? Once
no,
it comes out?
Of course. Okay. Of course. The shows I won't give a try just for I guess for good reasons is Discovery. I wouldn't give. Look, I have friends that love Discovery, the 3rd season. They go, no, it's very different, Ian. It's more Star Trek now. But I'm sorry, but it's the same guys that literally destroyed Star Trek. So they went back in time, reconstructed Star Trek that we knew with this horrible main character, and now they've gone straight into the future and dismantling Star Trek like that. How can I support a show like that?
I have hope. There's always hope that season 4 will survive.
Yeah, I hope so.
At least when it comes to Stranger Things, they do have like that. You can feel that they do plan it out to a degree. Like they are putting a lot of effort into it in a broad sense of their story. they might, you know, wiggle around with the characters and kind of fail a little bit maybe in that regard. But I think that at least story wise, it will be riveting. But I'm not going to be surprised if there's a little bit more annoyances for the characters. But I'm definitely looking forward to giving it a try whenever it drops.
It's, you know, the people that make Stranger Things and the people that make most TV shows, especially American shows, they live in the land of Hollywood, and in the land of Hollywood, the tone is that now. So it might be unavoidable for them, you know. But again, I would say The Mandalorian has definitely its own thing, and the Mandalorians, it only has one agenda, which is to entertain.
Yes.
And so I hope that season 4 has that agenda to entertain only.
Are crossed as well.
Yeah.
I want to thank you though for watching season 3 again with me, and for barreling through it, because once we start noticing certain things, you know, it becomes more of a task, I'd say. But it's you know what it is, right? It's good to do these things. I don't know whether if you're a writer or a filmmaker or you know, or just a creative, it's good to deconstruct something that you like and see why you like it or why you dislike it, and that can only make you better in your chosen profession if you're a creative. You know, that's the way I see it. Yeah, well, you know, I would definitely look forward to continuing doing that. And I know that, you know, you suggested doing this. And so, like, I want to do some form of this where we, like, look into, like, favorite guilty pleasure movies or whatever. And, like, I'm thinking, like, I want to, and, like, invite different people to basically, like, who want to talk about theirs too, so, like, kind of get some more wider discourse too. But because I like this, like, back and forth, and also if we do movies, I think it'll be a lot easier because it's more freeform, I think, than by episode, because there's a beginning and an end. Well, it's your favorite thing is like a middle of a trilogy or something, but you know,
I mean, you know, guilty pleasure movies are essentially movies that people don't consider in the wider scheme of things. Do you know what I mean? If it is a movie that people consider, then it's not a guilty pleasure movie.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, examples are, I guess, 30 going on 13, or was it 13 going on 30? That Jennifer Garner movie. Fields of Dreams, which I guess is part of a guilty pleasure movie. You know what I mean? Those kind of movies. Capricorn 1, you know, Taking a Pelham 1, 2, 3, you know, the 1 Hour Photo. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I like that you got a whole bunch of them there. I have to take some time. A lot of mine are just embarrassing movies that nobody likes.
But that's good too. That's good too. I mean, especially if it's a movie that you really like and you find it puzzling that people don't like it. You know, it's a great thing to talk about, because you get to learn more about why you like it, especially if you're conversing with somebody else. Do you know what I mean? So the weirder your guilty pleasure, the more enjoyable it will be by talking about it. That's the way I see it.
I will definitely be thinking of some of mine, and I know you got your list. And if anybody in chat, you know, feels like being on stream sometime and sharing one of your own, you know, come up, you know, think of it, share it, and if you don't feel comfortable on stream but want to share your idea and maybe get us to look at something, you know, because I definitely look forward to continuing doing reviews with you and breaking apart stuff that we like. So
and it'll be fun. You know, I know a lot of people that would love to do it, but unfortunately you have a time zone that people are asleep. So
if there's some time on like a weekend or something, I can do a lot easier with any time. Unfortunately, I'm stuck with work for really awkward hours for you. I work during the day.
Yeah, I mean, you could do one on the weekend. You know, I'll be up for that definitely.
I'm not going to have it. No, I'm definitely not doing it on Tuesday at this time, just because my work hours keep fluctuating too. So
sure,
I will figure it out.
Yeah.
Yes. So I thank you everybody in chat who came by, and again, thank you, Ian. I dropped a link on there. Go check out his YouTube page. You can find him on Twitter as well. And gosh, check out my Twitter for a schedule. When I update it eventually, it'll be pinned at the top. Any last words, Ian?
Yeah, Bone says justice for Steve.
Oh, that's
hilarious. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Bone.
No worries. You take it easy.
All right. Have a nice afternoon,